Hey guys, welcome back. Nate and I did a bunch of work in the garden over the past weekend, and we did some pruning of our berry plants. And I thought, shoot, I should have done a video showing you guys how to get the best harvest out of your berries. So for us here, we're growing for an entire year. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the biggest possible harvest. And I also like to bring in a lot of fruit at the same time, as opposed to just getting a few berries here and there. So if that's the way that you guys want to grow, and you want to make sure that you're getting the most possible that you can out of your berry plants, you're probably going to want to watch this. There's some great tips, and it's going to help you be more successful in the coming season. And right now, February and March, this is the time that you're going to want to be implementing these techniques to ensure that your summer harvest and fall harvest are going to be awesome. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can prune raspberries. And it also is going to depend on what type of raspberries you have. Now there's two types of raspberries. The first one is going to be your summer bearing raspberry. Now these raspberries, when you get them, if you get them in like a bare root form or from the nursery, you're going to plant those in the ground and they're going to send up what's called canes. And then in June or July, those canes will produce fruit. And then during the winter, those canes will die back. And the following year, it will send up new growth, and that will produce your crop the next summer. The other type is called everbearing, and this is the type that I would recommend getting. Basically, when you plant those, you will get canes the first year, and on the very end of those canes, you will end up getting a fall crop of berries. Here's a cane that we've pruned off. You can see at the very top, this is where all of the berries were. There were no berries down this entire length. Okay, so once this produces in the fall for you, the following year, you will get fruit in the summer off of each one of these little nodes. So this is a first year cane. It produced the fall crop last year, and then this would have been my summer crop this year. So you might be asking yourself, why in the world would I have cut all of these down to the ground? Well, there is a good reason for that. So when I prune my raspberries, I prune them down to about 1 inch to 2 inches above the ground. And when you prune them, you are going to notice that you are going to get some green canes, and these guys are still alive. What I am essentially doing is I am eliminating my summer crop. And the reason that I'm doing that is because my raspberry will put all of its energy into producing those primocanes that are going to flower and fruit in the fall, and I will get a much bigger harvest off of them, as opposed to kind of spreading the harvest out, getting a small summer crop and a small fall crop. I'll get a massive fall crop. So that is how I suggest that you prune your raspberries if you're wanting one large main crop, bigger than what you would get if you separated your crop out into the summer harvest and the fall harvest, and you're wanting to bring in a lot of food at one time to preserve for your family for the year. Now there's a lot of different types of everbearing varieties. I have what's known as Caroline Red and Heritage Red, and I really like those. They have been prolific producers for me. Now let's talk about blackberries for a minute. So you can see here behind me, these are my blackberries. Now these have not been pruned down to the ground. Blackberries are a little bit different. They're kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. What you want to do with your blackberries is you want to get rid of any dead canes. And so those are going to be canes that you can just tell. They're brittle, they're a different color, they're just dead, and you'll be able to tell that right away. What you want to do with the new cane growth, those canes that are still living, that's what's going to produce your crop throughout the summer, is you'll want to trim them back to a length of about 4 feet. Now you will find that over growing seasons, your blackberries will become pretty unruly. You'll get a lot of growth on them. So if you want to eliminate some of the additional canes just to keep it more manageable so that you can get into the plants when you're harvesting, make it a little bit easier on yourself, as well as to allow your blackberry plants to focus on producing bigger, juicier, sweeter berries, as opposed to a ton of canes and producing smaller, not as good berries. You'll want to trim down some of those additional canes. And you can see here, we've left them relatively thick. They're not super overgrown. We did come in and take a few here and there out at the base, and then we've gone ahead and trimmed the very long canes back to about 4 feet. And now these blackberries will produce throughout the summer for me, and they will stop producing around August. maybe even go into September. My raspberries will begin to produce fruit at the end of July, August, and they will go until my first freeze, which is the middle of October. So we'll get a continual harvest off of those. But these guys are going to be my first producers of berries. The last thing that I want to talk to you about today are my strawberries. So you can see this bed needs a lot of help. I have not come down here and taken care of this yet this year. This is on my list to do either this coming week or in the coming weeks, depending on how busy I am. But basically, the way that your strawberries grow is you have your main plant. And that's kind of like the mother plant. So once you plant that, you'll get strawberries off of that plant. And then what it will do is it will produce runners. Okay, so it basically produces a runner and sets a baby plant. But that baby plant stays connected to the mother plant. And what that does is the baby plant takes a lot of energy from the mother plant. The mother plant is not going to produce as well for you, and that baby plant's not going to produce well either because it's just a baby. So when you come in to prepare your strawberries for the coming season, what you want to do is you want to find the living plants. You want to remove all the excess old growth, and you're going to find runners in here that are alive. You're going to find a connection between a mother plant and a baby plant. Here is one strawberry that's actually rooted into my wooden post here, and you can see that this is the runner that it's attached to the mother plant by. So when I come and clean these beds out, I will be sure to snip this off. You do not want the mothers connected to the babies. The mothers will produce so much better for you, and the babies will not be sucking all the energy out of it. And then the following year, those babies will then produce for you. Eventually, your mother plants are going to kind of fizzle out, and you'll want to replace those with those new runners that are set. So don't get rid of your runners. And you can see here that I have a lot of strawberry plants that have come over this bed. They are growing in my mulched areas. You may wonder why they're growing in wood chips. It's not an optimal place to grow. However, each year when we mulch, underneath this is a nice layer of thick black soil that the previous year's mulch has composted down into, so the berries actually really love it. But my plan this year is to take my runners. I am going to carefully remove them out of the ground, and I'm going to take them up to my green stalks and plant them in there. That way, next year, when these mother strawberry plants have now been 3 years old, I'll remove the mother plants because they're not going to produce well for me anymore, and I will replace them with the baby plants from my green stalk. So that's how I'm going to manage these guys this year. Okay guys, well thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that gave you some good information. These tips are really going to help you to get the most out of your plants if you are trying to grow a massive harvest and really feed your family for the year so that you're not having to buy berries. And let me tell you, I think berries are one of the best things to grow in your garden. First of all, they're perennial. So once you buy them, they'll come back year after year after year. And secondly, we all know how expensive berries are at the grocery store. Even before inflation was a thing, a packet of raspberries for $3, $4, or $5 is just astronomical anyways. I don't even want to see what they're going to be this summer at the store. So anyways guys, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next video.